Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it last.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Make It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. Now, as I just said, it's all about relationships. So of course, we're going to talk about any issue or any topic that in some way will impact on your relationship. And we're going to be talking about sleep today. And I think this is going to prove to be quite interesting. We're going to be doing that with a board certified internist. He's a sleep medicine specialist. He's the author of the book Life Saving Sleep New Horizons in Mental Health Treatment. And he is Dr. Barry Krakow. Welcome, sir.
Good to be with you. Thanks for having me on to have this very good discussion.
Just before I reveal what we're going to be unpacking, tell me what a sleep medicine specialist is.
It means that after training in my general field of internal medicine, I went on to do additional training specific to the field of sleep medicine. If you've heard about people going to a sleep center to get a sleep study, to be diagnosed with sleep apnea, that's the general category of care that sleep medicine specialists give, but they can also provide care for insomnia, nightmares, other sleep disorders.
Okay. Which is a nice segue then into what we're going to be talking about, which is why does sleep quality trump sleep quantity?
So this is the very big issue that unfortunately is not covered. Most primary care doctors, most mental health therapists, most psychologists or psychiatrists. And what people don't realize is there's way too much focus in, let's call it the mainstream media or the legacy media, where they're constantly talking about getting the right number of hours of sleep. But what they don't understand, and here's a very good example specific to our discussion, a couple of decades ago, it has already been documented that snoring, loud snoring in particular, which clearly is disrupting the quality of someone's sleep, is a leading factor in processes related to divorce, marital strife, and separation. And for the obvious reason that if somebody snores loudly, that's going to disrupt the other person's sleep. The other person isn't just going to get angry because they're being awakened by the snoring. That other person is going to be exhausted. So now you've got two people exhausted because one person has this problem. That's the classic example, but it goes far deeper than that, because snoring is just a tip of an iceberg as to what's really going on in people's sleep when their sleep quality is compromised. So if you said to somebody, can you get 8 hours of kind of light sleep, kind of fragmented, kind of broken up, but it's 8 hours, would you take that? Or would you like 6 hours of really deep sleep? Most people have a certain intuition where they know that the 6 hours of deep sleep is more important and better for them. But even though they know that, that's not what their doctors are talking to them about. That's not what their therapists are talking to them about. And instead, these kinds of conversations in the medical setting usually lead to somebody saying, well, let me give you a prescription for Ambien, or let me give you this, let me give you that. Instead, what it should be is, let's focus on the quality of your sleep. And if we suspect there's something not healthy about it, we got to get you over to a sleep center to get a sleep study. And so if you'd like, I can go over a few examples of how people would actually identify that there's probably something wrong with the quality of sleep. And if you understand that, then the person goes, oh, well, maybe that's me. Maybe I need to get evaluated. And the biggest one, of course, is people that are tired or sleepy during the day. You're not supposed to be tired or sleepy during the day. You're not supposed to need caffeine to get through the day. You're not supposed to need nap 1 or 2 times a day. The body is designed to have good, high quality sleep at night, wake up, feel refreshed, and then use that great energy, mental energy, physical energy throughout the day.
I believe you answered it, but I'm gonna ask again for you to unpack it a little bit more. How do you determine that you're getting quality sleep? Because you said just now the whole idea of deep sleep. What do
Right.
you mean by that?
Right. It's a great question because we so much normalize whatever sleep we get, we just think that must be normal. So we don't actually have a way that sounds scientific. Like you could try to put something on your hand that's a wearable, an Apple Watch or something, and say, oh, well, it told me my sleep was light, or it told me my sleep was deep. But I have far better ways of doing it. I'll give you some very good examples.
Okay.
Most people don't know, and this is a big one. Most people don't know it is abnormal to wake up during the night, to use the bathroom, to urinate. It's abnormal. Everybody does it past the age of 40. They get up once or twice a night, sometimes even more, and they go, well, everybody does this. So doesn't that make it normal because everybody does it? Well, you could say that, but the scientific evidence shows that if you study the breathing patterns of people who wake up at night to pee, you'll often discover that the reason they're waking up to pee is because they have a sleep breathing problem that's affecting their heart.
Lack of sleep definitely will, as we've been talking about, make you irritable and a bit cranky. I know you're enjoying the conversation. You want to hear more, but we must take a break and get a word from our partners. We'll be right back.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
You've created a network that is not to be taken lightly.
Does your business lack branding? Having difficulty realizing your vision? Look no further. Splinth Brand Design Consultancy specializes in developing personal and business brands. Services include strategic management, website creation, social media branding, and more. Visit them online at www.wearesplint.com. Splinth, the brand you need to succeed.
Welcome back. Let's continue the conversation.
And their heart then releases a diuretic. I presume your audience probably knows that a diuretic is a pill, like a water pill, often used in blood pressure, cases. The body has its own diuretic inside its heart. And if you have a sleep breathing problem, that diuretic gets released, sends a message to the kidneys, make more water, pass more water. Now you wake up to pee, and you go to the doctor says, oh, well, everybody wakes up, or stop drinking water at night, or let's check your blood pressure, or let's do a urinalysis, all of these things. And at all this time, that particular symptom, we call it nocturia, waking up at night, to use the bathroom, that could go on in somebody for 10 or 20 years before the doctor recognizes, wait a second, well, maybe that's something else. And so the reason I'm saying that's so important is the person who wakes up at night to urinate is very likely, not always, but very likely to be somebody who's saying, my sleep isn't that good. I'm not that rested in the morning. And that is the key, of course. If you're not rested in the morning, how could you imagine that you have high quality sleep? How could you imagine you have deep sleep? Because doesn't it make sort of common sense that if you have deep sleep, you probably feel really good in the morning. You can't wait to seize the day. But instead you wake up in the morning and you go, where's the coffee? I can't get started until I have a couple of cups of coffee. So that's the critical link. You wake up in the morning, you say, well, no, I must have slept really well. I feel great without drinking coffee. But there's all these other signs and symptoms. People who have high blood pressure usually don't have high quality sleep. People who wake up with morning headaches or dry mouth usually don't have high quality sleep. People who suffer any kind of chronic pain condition rarely have deep sleep. So you see, we're talking about a number of symptoms. You could walk into a doctor's office, psychiatrist's office, psychologist, and they'll go through all these questions, say, oh, well, you're suffering from depression. You have PTSD. You have anxiety. I'm not saying that can't be true, but it's very uncommon for them to start asking the questions about the sleep. They say, hey, wait a second. It sounds to me like your sleep is not deep. It's light. It's superficial. You must be waking up a lot. We need to check this out. And of course, in the context of your larger question, you're talking about people who are cognitively impaired. That's what happens when you have bad sleep. You become cognitively impaired, and now your judgments are off. Your reactivity, your irritability, your trigger finger is on high alert because you're just too edgy because you didn't sleep well. People that sleep well, it turns out, tend to be more relaxed, more comfortable in their own skin.
You described just now some of the different, well, chronic, I believe they classify them as chronic illnesses that can then impact on your sleep. There are a lot of persons who will listen and watch this and they will say, well, there are a lot of us who can identify with at least one of those. So, Barry, is it really possible then for some of us, and I say us because I do have one of those conditions, for some of us to actually get quality sleep?
Yes, and it starts with recognizing and saying, first by asking yourself the question, I want to know what normal sleep is.
Okay.
And I want to know if my sleep is normal or not. And that means you have to overcome a certain natural resistance or defensiveness that we all have, because when we are going down this pathway, we're thinking, oh, wait, I'm about to get a diagnosis here. And I don't want a diagnosis, because a diagnosis means, well, I'm going to have to go to a doctor, or I'm going to have to get a medicine, or I'm going to have to, could affect my insurance plan. I mean, people have all kinds of reasons why they don't want to get a diagnosis. And yet we're talking about something that's huge, because sleep apnea, in particular, sleep breathing disorders, are absolutely epidemic in society. Unbelievable the number of people, children, adolescents, adults, seniors. It is just beyond comprehension how many people have these problems. But people don't respect sleep. If you don't respect sleep, why would you spend any time thinking about it? And therefore, you never get to first base. You never really think, oh, this problem could be important to me.
Yeah. As we're wrapping up, you've said a lot, but if of all that you said, there's one main idea that you'd want to just crunch everything or condense everything into, what would that one main idea be?
It's what you said from the outset, that if you're focusing way too much on trying to get hours of sleep, not always, but often, you're going down the wrong path. The right path is learn how to assess the quality of your sleep. My new book, Life Saving Sleep, of course, gives you all kinds of tools to evaluate what's normal sleep, what's abnormal sleep, and therefore how to measure your own quality of sleep. And from there, you can move forward and say, well, this is something I really want to investigate because it's going to make a big difference in my health.
Thank you so much for sharing. This
You're
was
welcome.
this was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it